Canada will start with Lindros, Rice, and Manderville, a line that has been very effective for the Canadian squad. They lead in shots on goal. Manderville stopped as he comes in across the line. The puck played ahead to Kovalenkov. Kovalenkov is knocked down with a body check, and the puck comes back into the center ice area. Rice takes a hit from Zubov. The puck goes loose in the corner. Zubov plays it around on the other side. Manderville bumps Bure. Herter keeps it in, but Bure manages to move it ahead, and he now breaks out. He has Kovalenkov with him. The two of them cross. Bure looking for Kovalenkov. Here's a chance for Bucsaev, as that puck did not get through to Kovalenkov, but went off escape, and the trailer on the play almost got an opportunity to walk in alone. Bucsaev back in his own zone. Both teams making changes. Oksuto in across the line, his shot right on, and the save is made by Canadian goaltender Stefan Fossett. The puck back out into the neutral zone. We're 1 minute into this game between Canada and the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union tied for the lead in the standings with Czechoslovakia, each nation with 4 straight wins. Canada with a record of 3 wins, and that tie yesterday, of course, against Finland. Kозлов slides it through to Oksuta. Oksuta throwing it out front as he was being hindered by Haller. A shot from the blue line is deflected to the corner by Fossett. Lead pass for Pellerin. Pellerin is checked, but following up on the play is Stu Barnes. Barnes working to the corner, having difficulty controlling it as he was battling Tертышный. Throws it in back of the Soviet goal. And as they continue battling for it, the Soviets come up with it along the boards. Lose it. There's a shot. A quick release by Needham. And the Soviet goaltender Tkachenko makes the save. Now Oksuta loses it. Back at the line, Plavsic with a shot blocked in front. Another shot that is knocked down at the side of the net from Brisbois. Plavsic at the point, keeps it in, lets the shot go up high and over top of the Soviet net. It ricochets off the glass and all the way back into the Canadian zone.
2 players on the Soviet Union drafted by the National Hockey League. Bure by Vancouver, that's in dispute right now. And Oksuta taken by the Rangers in the 10th round. So, but a couple of real good prospects coming up. We'll talk about them later.
2:17 has gone by in this still scoreless opening period. On the offside call, the face-off will take place just outside the Canadian line. Ricci wins the draw. Try and get it across to Malgunas. It's knocked out into the center ice area and back into the Soviet zone. Namestnikov checked in the corner. Norris trying to poke it free. It's played around the other side. Herter racing in from the point. He pinches in and manages to keep the puck in the Soviet zone. Norris steps into his man, but the Soviets break out 3-on-2. Martinyuk in across the line, getting set. There's the shot. Fossett the save, and he covers up on the rebound.
A 3-on-2, and he chose to take the shot. Yushkevich, number 6, just turned 18 in November. The youngest player on the team, number 14, Kozlov. They'll be high drafts this year as well.
The Czechs and the Soviets, each with 4 straight wins. Canada 3-1. They have 7 points. Sweden with a record of 3 wins and 1 loss. And Finland coming up with a victory today over Norway. The Finnish record now 2-1-2. Canada, after this game, 2 contests still to play. On Wednesday against Sweden and on Thursday against Czechoslovakia. And we'll have that game against Czechoslovakia for you on the CBC television network. Potaichuk in the corner. Loses the puck. Knocked out into the center ice area by Craig. Draper unable to pick it up, but it is fired down into the Soviet zone. Waltz steps into the defenseman back of the net, forcing a turnover. The puck loose in that Soviet zone. Walls is hit. There's going to be a penalty here coming up against the Soviets. Going off will be Alexander Godinuk, as referee Derek Martin calls him for that altercation in the corner. It will be an elbowing call, and Canada will have a power play opportunity 3:16 into the game.
Walls, Draper, Craig line had a decent game yesterday. I look for their speed against the Soviets. It's a very quick Soviet team. I was watching this morning in practice. They have not enjoyed the tournament as well as they have other ones, but this is the game they're keying on against Canada.
An interesting thing about Canada and Soviet battles in World Junior play, Canada has defeated the Soviets only 3 times, and on each of those occasions, they have won the gold medal. Potaychuk in across the line, trying to get around Brisbois. The big defenseman takes him out of the play. Ahead for Walls. Walls runs into a hit from Tертышный, and the Soviets take the puck back into their own zone, killing off some time with the player in the penalty box.
Each day that goes by, Mike Ricci's shoulder is improved. Yesterday he had a lot of difficulty on the face-offs, not much strength.
Ricci leads the attack for Walls. Over to Chizowski. Chizowski lets a shot go. Kept in at the line by Brisbois. Soviets trying to move it out of there, but Canada manages to keep it in. Out front for Ricci. He couldn't get a shot away. At the point, Plavsic keeps it in. Ricci having difficulty controlling it back to the net. Tертышный around the boards, but it's kept in by Canada. Pass too far for Walls. He couldn't get a shot away. It's left there now for Chizowski. He leads the Canadian team in scoring. He has scored at least once in each game. Ricci back to the net, looking out front, gives it to Chizowski. Brisbois had come racing in from the point, but Ricci couldn't get the puck to him. Ricci battling in the corner. Another penalty coming up, and this will be against the Soviets, a cross-checking call. So with 36 seconds remaining in the first minor, Canada will have a two-man advantage for 36 seconds.
Well, he took a scoring chance away just as Chizowski was going to throw it back to the point to Brisbois. He got cross-checked. There it is right there from behind. And Ricci was the captain yesterday, and Chizowski's wearing the C today. They rotated, as we know.
So for 36 seconds, with Potaychuk going off for cross-checking, Canada will have a two-man advantage. Canada came up with one power play goal yesterday in that 3-3 tie with Finland, a goal by Chizowski.
This may be one area that it's tough for the Canadian team, that their power play, as I said, these teams have played together so often, and your specialty teams are tough. The Soviets have scored 4 short-handed goals thus far in the tournament, so that's something to keep our eye on.
Tертышный gets it over to Haller. Tертышный has a big shot from that blue line. Now he slides it back to Haller. Haller fakes the shot, gives it off to Barnes. Back to Haller. Over to Barnes. Barnes back to the net for Needham. Barnes getting set to Needham. Needham tries to jam it. They bang away. And the goaltender, Tkachenko, manages to cover up with 14 seconds remaining in the two-man advantage.
Soviets adjusted well. They only have the 3 skaters on the ice. They kind of abandoned the point play of Canada. And fortunately for the Soviets, they went down in deep because Canada had the 3 players right at the net.
Face off to the right of Tkachenko. Guy Chiron, the head coach of the Canadian junior team, issuing some instructions as to what he wants them to do with this two-man advantage.
Well, this is the big face-off right now.
Haller back at the line. Gets it over to Barnes. Back to Haller. Haller moving in. Lets the shot go. The save and the big rebound kicked out. Haller back at the line. One penalized player is out. In front, there's the shot by Tертышный racing in from the point, but it didn't get through. Tертышный plays it back to the net for Pellerin. He kicks it free to Needham. Needham along the boards. Back to the point to Tертышный. Tертышный fakes the shot, gave it over to Needham. Needham had trouble picking it up, and the Soviets are able to get it out of the zone. 54 seconds left in the penalty. Potaychuk in the box for the Soviets. Long lead pass to Kovalen. He's spun around by Tертышный. Kovalen goes to the corner, tried to flip it back to the point. Intercepted by Barnes, then he loses it. Needham with a shot, or I should say the Soviet player Kozlov with a shot right on. Needham now picking it up in the corner for Canada. Ahead to Pellerin. He has Barnes with him. Pellerin gets away from the check. Goes into the corner. The puck is loose there. Comes back to the line. Brisbois lets the shot go. A save. Out front for Rice. He couldn't get a shot away as Barnes tried to slide it through to him with just 2 seconds remaining in the penalty. Fired down into the Canadian zone, and the Soviets will return to full strength as it's brought up the ice by Brisbois. Brisbois to Plavsic, having a little difficulty picking up that pass along the boards. Lindros comes over to help out. Lindros brings it in across the line. Potaychuk is there. Long lead pass. Kozlov coming in. Kozlov working in against Facet managed to get a stick out there and poke it away from him.
The youngest Soviet player will be only 18 in March. We saw the speed of Kozlov. Not a big player, but a poor line change by Canada created a scoring chance, Don.
Herder knocks Kozlov down. Plavsic now bringing it out of his own zone. He gives it ahead to Lindros. Lindros loses it. The Soviets gain control in their own zone. Yushkevich playing it off Martinuk down into Canadian territory. Martinuk is knocked down by Malgunas back of the net. Canada coming out, led by Manderville. Manderville is checked in the neutral zone. Jamnov brings it across the line, but the Soviets are offside with 7:37 gone by in the opening period. 3 other games are being played in the tournament this evening. Poland and the United States, after 2 periods, are in a 1-all tie, and in the 3rd period, Czechoslovakia leads Sweden by a 5-2 score. Earlier today, Finland defeated Norway 8-2. Craig steps into the Soviet player Martinyuk at the blue line, breaking up the attack, and Canada comes back. It's left for Walls, and Walls slid it across the goal mouth. But Craig could not get a shot away.
Karpovцев made a good defensive play for the Soviets, taking, I think it was Walls, right out of the play.
The reason for the whistle, the Soviet net has come loose.
Tkachenko has the butterfly style. We've got 2 goaltenders with similar styles, and I was watching him on that power play. He likes to hug in close on the posts, and not the type of angle goalie, but he made a terrific save with that left pad, and we know that Facet on the butterfly yesterday gets up very quickly. He had a strong game. He hasn't had much work done.
8:12 has gone by in this opening period. Still scoreless between the Soviet Union and Canada. Dumped in by Haller. Norris battling in the corner, trying to get that puck free to Chizowski. Picked up by Potaychuk. Potaychuk fires it down into the Canadian zone. Tертышный takes him in against the boards. Canada having some problems getting it out, and now Norris starts away. Norris has Chizowski with him. The pass across to Chizowski. Couldn't get a shot away. That pass from Norris just a little too far for Chizowski. He had to reach across for it and was in a little too close. Couldn't get the shot away, but a fine play by Canada. Canada to the attack again. Ricci gives it over to Norris. Norris dumps it into the corner. Back after it is Godynuk. He plays it up along the boards and out. Back into the Canadian zone is Needham as the Canadian team makes a change. Ahead to Tертышный. Tертышный shoots it in deep. Yushkevich plays it around the right side. Bringing it out is Buczaev. Buczaev in across the line, looking for Namestnikov. He couldn't get a shot away. Buczaev fanned on it, and Canada clears the zone. The Soviets to the attack again. Bure fires a long shot that Facet steers to the corner. Brisbaugh loses it. Bure gets an opportunity as he cut out front and fired it wide. This is the big line for the Soviet Union. Kovlenko, Buczaev, and Bure. Here's a pass intercepted by Pellerin. He fires it just wide. He let a whistler go from just inside the blue line, as both teams in this opening period have been guilty of a couple of giveaways. A blast from the point by Plavsic goes up over the glass, out of play.
Most observers concerned about the Soviet speed, but I would give the edge to Canada. They played yesterday. The Soviets had the day off, and I think in a tournament of this nature, it's sometimes better when you have a team, a young team like Canada has, and playing so many games. They'll have tomorrow off, and then they'll play Sweden and Czechoslovakia to finish the tournament. But so far in this first period, I would give Canada the edge in speed, which has been a surprise.
Cherenkov, the coach of the Soviet team, operates from in front of the bench, while Guy Chiron, the Canadian coach, works from behind the bench. Here's an opportunity for Kozlov. Kozlov went to the backhand, and the save is made by Facet, but there is going to be a penalty here against Canada.
Herder got kind of caught really not moving backwards, and like you mentioned, Kozlov, he was able to get really in on. He's the left winger we talked about earlier, and a lot of scouts really watching Kozlov. This will be the first chance that they've had to draft, and he just races around Herder. He got caught turning the left side, and Kozlov got a pretty good scoring chance. Might have even ticked that crossbar.
So Canada will be a man short, 10:21 into this opening period, with Jason Herder serving a 2-minute hooking sentence. Soviets like to move that puck around on the power play, looking for the good scoring opportunity. They won't take too many shots from the point, at least they haven't in previous games. Kozlov controlling. Back to the line. Tертышный over to Kozlov, moving in, there's the shot, right on, the save by Facette, and the rebound is fired down the ice by Chris Draper.
Well, that was a pretty good angle, and we saw Facette. It was a low shot, an excellent shot by Kozlov. They've scored 5 power play goals. They're tied with Czechoslovakia in the lead in that department in this tournament.
Gordiuk moves it ahead to Kozlov. Kozlov working to the corner. Tried to get it out front for Gordiuk. It was deflected. Kozlov has it again. Oksyta out front takes the pass and fires to the far corner. That was a pretty pass from Kozlov to Oksyta, and he made no mistake.
Canada's box was very small as well. The point men were open. It was Chris Draper that just failed to get in front, and was a quick pass, that bang-bang play. There's so much room behind the net. We saw yesterday Ricci made the good play to Chizowski, and certainly the play came in there. It was just a quick bang-bang play. There was nothing the goaltender Facette could do. They caught the angle, and you see as he fakes one way and comes back here, and Kozlov puts a beautiful pass across, and an excellent pass from Kozlov. He made it all possible. We'll see him right here. He's looking around, and finally he spots Oksyta, and he just picks the corner for a power play goal. That's a 6th power play goal for the Soviets in a game that I thought, and they've been very tentative until this power play.
So on that power play goal by Oksyta from Kozlov, the Soviets lead 1-0. Brisbois behind his own net. Plavsic gives it back to Brisbois, being forechecked by Martinyuk. Zubov keeps it in at the point. Brisbois tries again. He plays it to an open left wing. Picked up by Zubov. Zubov in across the line to Martinyuk, going rink wide, and Kudashov couldn't get a shot away. Brisbois coming out of his own zone, tried to hit Mandeville on the fly. It was deflected up over the boards and out of play. As we pointed out yesterday, but for those of you who may not have seen our telecast because of the early start time, the glass does not go all the way around the boards here at the Helsinki Arena. It really extends just a little beyond the goal line.
We had a longer game than usual yesterday, over 2:45, and one thing you have to be careful of in this power play, especially, Don, is there's so much room behind the net that it's kind of, you know, tempting for a defenseman to go there, but he should be watching in front.
Yushkevich playing it up along the boards. Namestnikov over on the wing to Ivanoff. Back to Potaychuk. He fired it high and wide. He had that quick release on the wrist shot. Lead pass for Chizowski. He had difficulty picking it up, and the Canadians have to go back into their own zone to set up the attack. Pass intercepted by Ivanoff. Ivanoff over on the wing to Potaychuk. Kaminsky going for the net. There's the shot, and the rebound grabbed by Facette, with Kaminsky looking for the loose puck. 12:26 has gone by in the opening period. It's 1-0. Stefan Facette in some pain. He may have taken that shot up high in the neck area. He juggled it, then was able to glove it. Jerry Bellows is out tending to the injured Canadian goaltender. He was also shaken up in yesterday's game against Finland. Facette had that pulled groin problem at training camp. Yesterday he banged up his back when he was rammed into the goalpost. He appears to be okay and apparently has recovered from that high shot by Potaychuk.
And the Soviet winger was going in on the left side, took some attention away from Facette. It was a surprise shot, very high.
Karpovtsev in his own zone, bangs it off the boards. Back after it is Haller. 1-0, the Soviets lead. Here's an opportunity. Barnes coming in with Pellerin. Barnes with the shot up high on Tkachenko. He makes the save. Canada has had a couple of 2-on-1s and they've just failed to click. Fired into the Canadian zone. Facette plays it along the boards for Pellerin. He gets it out of the area. Kovlenko will bring it back in. Kovlenko trying to go for the goal. He's knocked down by Haller. Buре picks it up in the corner. Bure tried to flip it back to the line, but Tертышный was not in position.
I think if Canada can take some attack, this is not a strong Soviet defensive team. Their strong suit is the offensive play. So if they can take some attack, get those 2-on-1s, a good shot by Barnes.
An icing call against the Soviets, 13-18, gone by in the opening period. They say that Tkachenko is one of the best Soviet youngsters to come along in some time, perhaps the best in goal since Beloshakin.
Well, yes, and certainly at 18 years of age, normally the Soviets, they have that system where the older players play, but when you look at Tkachenko at 18 years of age, and Turek, the Czech goalie, leading on save percentage, Facette not far behind, and third, Tkachenko.
Plavsic with a shot from the face-off. Let it go from the point. It was deflected, and for a while, Tkachenko wasn't sure where it was. Here's Oksyta, the man who has scored the only goal. Working to the corner against Plavsic. He leaves it there for Kozlov. Kozlov, the youngest player on the team. Good shot, right on. The rebound fired wide. Loose puck in the Canadian zone. Played back to the line. Kept in by Zubov. Flipped high towards the net. Gloved and held by Facette.
This has been the top Soviet line with Gordiюk and I think it's 14 Kozlov and Oksyta. They've been the top line, and we've been looking at to see if Bure, he really hasn't been a factor in this game, but they'll play the four lines and they'll certainly get into the rotation. But from Canada's standpoint, you want to stay close in that first period. I was concerned that maybe they'd come out in the first period and be a little flat, but after that tie game yesterday, but they have had a pretty even period.
The surprising thing, Bure in the game against the United States at one point in the second period was benched for about 10 or 12 minutes. However, he did come back to score what proved to be the winning goal. Here's a shot from the point by Namestnikov, the save by Facette. Jason Herter takes it back of his own goal. Lead pass up into the center ice area, broken up by the Soviets. Rice will try and bring it in. He runs into the Soviet player Martinuk and sends him flying. Rice has played very physically throughout the entire tournament. He came up with a goal yesterday, had a glorious opportunity in the final seconds to perhaps win it, but Eskalinen, the Finnish goaltender, made a big save. But he has used his size to advantage in the tournament.
And Dave Chazowski leads all the Canadians with shots on goal at 17-5 goals, but when you go to the next three, it's the entire line of Lindros, Rice, and Manderville. They've provided 38 shots on goal, so they've been the number one line, and they've been the bouncing line as well.
All three have played very physically throughout this tournament. Lead pass to Jamnov. He gets it over to Gordiuk. There's the shot, they score!
Just split the defense. Gordiuk just was able to get right through the defense. It was hard to believe. Kudashov, I think it was, that really took the pass, but boy, I think it was Herter went one way, and he just seemed to get in the middle of Herter and Malgunas, but you'll see it right here, and it's a quick play right up the middle. Being a right-hand shot helps him. Now he's on his forehand, one-on-one with Facette, and puts it right into the corner to make it 2-0 Soviet Union.
Kudashov from Jamnov, the goal scorer.
Pretty tough for Facette as he comes in when you don't like to see somebody split the defense. That's why on the outside there's always a lot of Soviet speed. Defense kind of separate a little bit, give the opening.
Battle for the puck back of the Soviet net. Loose up along the boards and the Soviets break out. On the right side for Ivanov. Ivanov checked there by Haller. The Canadian defenseman starts back. Gets away from Potaychuk, moves in across the line. Tried to slip it across, broken up by the Soviets. They come back. Chazowski got back to prevent it from being a 2-on-1. Potaychuk with a screen shot. Bounces up high, gets it back again. Looking to the point. Tертышный, long shot right on, and Stefan Facette grabs the rebound and holds it for a face-off.
Down 2-0, you have to look for Canada's defensemen to join in the play. Haller made the good rush. Chizowski was conscious of the fact if he did get caught, he would back up the play, and that's what you have to do. I think Canada, being a little tentative, Don, have got to take that offense against this club, which will mean defensemen. They've got the defense that can do it. They can carry the puck. If the forwards will back them up, they can cause some problems in the Soviet end zone.
Bucaev in the face-off circle against Barnes. Barnes gets the draw, back to Brisbois. Lead pass for Barnes. Barnes deflects it down into the Soviet zone. Pellerin racing in, manages to keep it in for Needham, over to Barnes, and he deflected it. Good save by Tkachenko. Barnes, a goal scorer for the Tri-City Americans, showing those good hands as he attempted to deflect that centering pass and almost got it past Tkachenko. Now lead pass to Kovalenkov, going for the net is Bucaev, he scores!
What a beautiful play, like you mentioned, but Scott Pellerin had the Soviet winger all to himself, and he allowed him to beat him by a step and put it in, but it was a quick 2-on-1, and we'll see the quickness of the pass just across, and a one-timer. Facette just about got it with that stick, but it was a tremendous play, 2-on-1. You see it right here. It was a tremendous play. He sort of froze the goaltender. It was a beautiful pass from Kovalenkov, I think, that threw it across.
Kovalenkov to Bucaev, and it's 3-0. The Soviet Union leading Canada. We have played 15:47 of this opening period.
It's funny how the game changes, though, on goaltending. It was a good chance. Barnes made a terrific redirection of a pass, and Tkachenko, we saw the quick move. It was only about 20 seconds before the Soviet Union had made it 3-0. Otherwise, it would have been 2-1. So goaltending a big factor in this first period.
And a penalty has been assessed, it would appear, against the Soviet Union.
Soviet Union, number 26, Kovalenkov, 2 minutes penalty for roughing.
Kovalenkov is going to draw a penalty. Apparently that occurred after the goal was scored.
Called it roughing, so after the goal, he might have somebody might have said something to him, and nevertheless, the Soviet Union will be shorthanded after scoring the third goal to lead 3-0, just 15:47 into this hockey game.
Buре also draws an assist on the goal.
Numero 12, Buure. Aika 15:47.
From the face-off, Eric Lindros throws it back into his own zone to Plavsek. Lindros gets it back. He's checked at the line. The puck loose at the Canadian blue line. Canada with a power play. And across the line, Rice lost control, and the puck is fired up into the crowd. 1:39 remaining in the power play. The mother of 16-year-old Eric Lindros, Bonnie Lindros, watching this game. And of course, during our first intermission, we'll have a feature on the young 16-year-old who will be joining the Oshawa Generals on January 14th.
I understand he'll be returning to school in Detroit until January 11th, and then he finishes his classes and will play his first game on the 14th. So he's been a very busy man this year, playing for Detroit CompuWare. Will now join Oshawa Generals in Ontario Junior League.
Walls gives it back to the point to Plavsek. Into Walls. Canada trailing by a score of 3-0. Plavsek getting set, gives it over to Walls. Walls moves in, back to the net for Ricci. Ricci for Chizowski, to Brisbois, scores! Brisbois with the shot from the point. It may have been deflected in front, but it is a goal for Canada. A power play score. And that comes 16:29 into this opening period.
Nice soft pass, and Brisbois just one-timed it, and the goaltender for the Soviet Union, it looked like he was going to have it, but it hit him and went behind him, Tkachenko, and you see a nice soft pass, and you see Ricci's able to put it across, and finally Brisbois from the point. He's got it. There's no screen on it. He just blew it by the goaltender as he one-times the shot, and The pass from Chizowski and Ricci. Chizowski makes a nice pass here that he's able to really, and Brisebois is able to move back to the point. No screen, right in, and Ricci bothering the goaltender on the side.
So Canada gets on the board. Martinuk in his own zone. Too far for Jamnov. Kudashov in there forechecking for the Soviets. Chizowski with a good play, taking his man out as the Canadian team is able to clear the zone. Now it's Haller bringing it up the ice. Haller flips it down into Soviet territory. 3 minutes remaining in this opening period. Back at the line, Tертышный with a long shot. And Tkachenko grabs it and hangs on for a face-off. The Canadian team pressuring the Soviets. Ricci knocked down by Jamnov. The Canadian team,
they're a little bit unsure of themselves after falling behind 3-0. That goal should pick up the Canadian team. The confidence level, that's the area in this type of hockey, Don. It's so important. The game can change very quickly. So instead of just, looking at the score 3-0, they took good advantage of the Soviet penalty scored early and have come back, and I think the confidence level should be back up to where it should be.
The Canadian team trying to play disciplined hockey, and after this save, you'll see number 10, Jamnov, come in, and watch number 9, Mike Ricci. He gets knocked down there, and Jamnov draws a penalty.
We talked about it, and I think that's the major statement that Coach Sharon has said: discipline, discipline, discipline. We know how it's tough. It's been awful tough for pros. How much tougher is it for juniors?
So Canada with another power play opportunity. Pellerin along the boards. Barnes in there trying to help out as they try and get it loose. It comes back to the line. Brisebois with a shot. He scores!
It looked like the same play as they scored their first power play goal. Brisebois got that quick shot, and goaltender Tkachenko couldn't handle it as well. It seems to be shots that are right at him. So Canada right back into the game on penalties, and that's what I said. That confidence level should be right there. A pretty good play as Scott Pellerin comes in and tries to bother the goaltender as well as Mike Needham, but a good shot by Patrice Brisebois, second of the game.
It may have been Needham who deflects this, Scotty. He's standing at the side of the net. He may have got a stick on it to deflect it. They have awarded the goal to Brisebois from Barnes and Pellerin, but it may be changed. Needham at the side of the net may have changed the direction of that shot. But all of a sudden, Canada is right back in the game.
That's right. Pellerin and Needham both at the net to bother the Soviet goaltender and defenseman. Brisebois with a good shot for the point.
Vanderbilt steals it. Manderville dumps it in. He had to wait for Lindros to get back on side. There is no such thing as the touch-up rule in international hockey. Here's Manderville taking a weak shot that goes wide. The puck behind the Soviet net, and 4 players go down as Lindros and Rice use their body to advantage. Here's Buret going in. Saved by Facette. The Soviets broke out quickly with that lead pass to Buret, and he went in alone, but Facette made a big save.
Buret took it right out of the air. Mandeville couldn't believe that he was able to get the puck and knock it down and get the good scoring chance.
Rice picks up the puck in his own zone and flips it down the ice, and this will be an icing call against Team Canada with 18-16 gone by in this opening period. 3-2, the Soviets leading, but they were in front 3-0 before Canada came back with 2 quick power play goals.
Patrice Brisebois, second round pick, 30th overall of the Montreal Canadiens, a team that's really struggled on the power play. So if they're watching this game and their scouts are here tonight, Brisebois scoring 2 power play goals, showing that real offensive threat that he is.
Face off to the right of Stéphane Facette, and what a big save he just came up with off Pavel Bure.
That would have really taken Canada down a notch after coming back. There's a lot more emotion now that it's 3-2 and Bure 15 seconds later.
Kozlov with a quick shot from the face-off, and Facette comes out of the net to grab that puck. And that's another rule in international hockey. The goaltender can come way out of the crease to freeze the puck. As a result, you see a number of stoppages in play.
Ricci having a lot of difficulty on the draws. They tried him again. He probably felt that he could go tonight, but they've replaced Ricci with, I think it's Walls that's going to take this draw.
Ricci still having problems with that shoulder. Tертышный with a shot from the face-off. Facet unable to grab it. The puck loose. The Soviets with the wraparound attempt. And that puck lay right in the crease before Malgunas got a stick on it and fired it down the ice. Ricci intercepts the pass, had to wait for his teammates to get onside, apparently didn't wait long enough. 18:40 has gone by in this opening period, the face-off just outside the Soviet line.
Finland had an excellent game on the face-offs. The loss of Ricci, they've tried most of their other players. Walls lost the draw. It resulted in a pretty good scoring chance. The referee from the United States making a few more calls than we maybe expected in this game than we had last night.
Back after it goes Godynuk. Canada forechecking now, trying to force a turnover in the Soviet zone. Martinuk, long lead pass, and it was broken up by Brisbaugh. The Soviets like to hit that man flying down the wing with the lead pass, and that one was deflected away from Kudashov.
Well, you don't want to get burned, but Brisbaugh was up in the neutral zone. You want your defense as close as you can to your forwards, and so much ice to cover. Although we may point out, Don, it is a big ice surface, but it's the same length as we have in North America, 200 feet. There is a difference, of course, from the goal line back. It's 13 feet, but Brisbaugh staying up, and those long passes, if you pick them off, you might get some scoring chances.
Plavsic fires it across to his defensive partner, Brisbois. Martinuk back into his own zone. Just missed. There's a solid check there from Pellerin, who went flying into the end boards. The puck loose now at the line. Needham fires it in, but Pellerin was offside.
Well, those two goals, those two quick goals, have really picked up the Canadian team. You can see they were very tentative as they fell behind 3-0, but now they're really trying to get in to do some forechecking. Pellerin really in solid, just missed that defenseman. That would have been a tremendous check.
Well, the Soviets weren't particularly happy at having an American referee this game, and they'll be less pleased with the two penalties that Derek Martin called, particularly the one after they scored the goal where Kovlenko took a penalty for roughing after he had fed that perfect pass across to Bucsayev.
Also encouraging from Canada's standpoint, now 6 power play goals out of their 27. So you're not going to win these tournaments without the power play being functional. That's always a concern, Don, when you take players from all over, but their power play has been effective.
43 seconds remaining in the period. They will face off again, just this time inside the line. Again, we point out the clock counts up to 20 minutes rather than down from 20 as we are accustomed to at home. Canada with control. Draper for Walls. He deflects it down into the Soviet zone. Pellerin racing in after it. Couldn't get to it. Picked up along the boards by the Soviets. They dump it out. Craig back for Canada. He fires it in. Namestnikov checked by Walls. Craig gets it in the corner trying to move out front. He's checked, and the Soviets break out. Kovlenko in across the line. Kovlenko centering at Namestnikov. The defenseman had raced in, couldn't quite reach it. Back to the line, Yushkevich took a shot, blocked by Canada just as the horn sounds to end the period. So the Canadian team comes back late in the period with 2 power play goals, and it's a 3-2 Soviet lead after 20 minutes of play. Now let's join Brian Williams.
All right, Don, coming up at our first intermission, we'll talk live with Canadian captain Dave Shazowski. Also be talking with the editor.
Period. From the face-off, Lindros tried to knock the puck down into the Soviet zone and go after it himself. However, the Soviets broke it up. It was fired into Canadian territory, but it's an offside, an icing call on the part of the Soviets. In that first period, the scoring for the Soviets: Oksyuta from Kozlov on a power play at 11:09, then Kudashov at 14:23, and just over a minute later, Bucsayev made it 3-0. But Canada on 2 power play goals, less than a minute apart. Brisbaugh credited with both of them. Actually, now they have just changed that second goal, as we suspected. They have just announced that it was Mike Needham at the side of the net who deflected it on the shot from Brisbaugh. So it is Needham credited with that goal, and Brisbaugh will certainly draw the assist.
Manderville and Bure have something going, although they have thrown the Canadian sentiment out of the face-off Lindros, but he and Bure really took each other out before the face-off.
Manderville against Kovlenko. Manderville ties his man up. Lindros tried to dig out that puck, but the Soviets got to it first. It's fired down the ice, right out in front of the net. The quick shot as the Canadian player Rice was unable to pick it up. And the Soviets almost got to that loose puck in front of the net.
You have to look behind you. The ice is so big, and we saw the quickness and speed there as the Soviet player was able to outskate the Canadian, but he should have been looking around. It was Rice. Here's
Zubov with a shot from the point right on, and Facette comes up with another save as Lindros brings it down the ice. A long shot, glove save by Tkachenko, but did Lindros ever whistle that one from just inside the blue line?
Yes, and they talked about the play at the end of the Finnish game. Lindros, we noticed, as he had no chance. He had to make the play to Rice, but we'll see the good shot by Lindros. And, you know, he hasn't really performed maybe as some people expected, Don, but he went into this game with 15 shots on goal. Only Dave Chizowski has more shots on goal than Lindros.
But what you have to remember is he's only 16 years of age.
He's getting those kind of numbers and shots on goal. Goals will come.
Loose puck in the Soviet zone. They're getting a little careless with the way they are attempting to clear. Needham tried to get it to Barnes back of the net. Knocked away by Namestnikov. Now a rink-wide pass for Gordиюк as the Soviets are throwing it around rather casually in their own zone under this forechecking pressure of the Canadian team. Barnes brings it in across the line as he stole that puck, but he had a teammate trapped inside the blue line. Again, we point out there is no touch-up rule in international hockey such as we are accustomed to in North America.
Soviet forwards out in the neutral zone, you don't see them very often, that they're not moving. Gordiuk standing still, that kind of a play, and that allowed the Canadian defensemen, the longer they take to get it over the blue line, the Canadian defenseman can come up and close the gap and pick off some of those passes, which he just did there.
Now Gunas for Chizowski. He dumps it down into the Soviet zone. Norris tying his man up behind the net. Namestnikov plays it up along the boards for Martinuk. Martinuk trying to get it across to Jamnov, and it was intercepted by Canada. Ricci brings it up along the boards, gets it loose for Chizowski. Chizowski takes the shot. It goes off a leg in back of the goal. Kudashov working his way out into the neutral zone. He plays it off the boards into Canadian territory. Facette back of the net trying to play it. Kudashov got there. His centering attempt knocked down by Herter. Herter unable to clear. Now it's poked to the line, still not out, and finally as he falls, Chizowski bangs it into neutral territory.
Soviet defensemen a little slower moving up in this period, and if they don't join in the attack, Canada can still keep that forechecking game going if they want to.
Kudashov forces Herter back into his own zone. Now Malgunas flips it up on the right side. Ricci, rink-wide pass. Chizowski knocks it to the corner, then takes his man, Yushkevich, heavily into the boards. Potaichuk racing after that loose puck, trying to set something up, fires it across, nobody there to deflect it. The Soviets gain control in the Canadian zone. Ivanov, a centering attempt, deflected into the corner. Tертышный knocked Ivanov down as he threw that puck back of the Canadian net. An icing call against Canada with 2:58 gone by in the second period. Chris Draper moves into the face-off circle against Kaminsky of the Soviet Union to the left of Stefan Facette. Draper gets the draw to Walls. Walls dumps it out. Zubov to Ivanov. Knocked down in front of the goal with Tертышный. Plays it over to the other side to Holler. He shovels it ahead to Walls. Walls chasing after the puck as it goes loose in the Soviet zone. Picked up by Draper. Draper in front of the net. Walls was tied up, couldn't get a shot away. Godynuk brings it out ahead to Ivanov. Too far for him. And it's played around the boards by Brisbois. Canada unable to clear. The puck loose in the Canadian zone. And finally it is brought out by Holler, knocked off his stick, but then he hammers it down the ice, and this will be an icing call against Canada.
That's the area, though. Mike Craig, about 5 feet inside the blue line. You want to make sure that puck gets over the blue line. The Soviets are very quick on those turnovers, and they always have players, Don, that are loafing coming back. So, you know, in front of the Canadian goal, they don't really concern themselves to get everybody back, as long as they have one back with the 2 defensemen and the other 2 kind of circle and float around. No turnovers inside the blue line, though, if you're Canada.
Many of the spectators at the game are bantam-age players from Canada who have been participating in the Finnair Cup, won by the AAA team from London. They defeated IFK by a score of 5-1. Here's Rice in across the line. He is stopped. Manderville will try it. Manderville with that shot right on. The big rebound bounces out front and is dumped down the ice by the Soviets. Plavsic coming out from behind his own net, tried to hit Rice in the center ice area. It was broken up by Bucsayev, but Manderville loose puck and he flips it down into Soviet territory. Karpovcev being checked. Lindros tried to get it out front, broken up by the Soviets, and here they come on a 2-on-1, a crossing pattern, a drop pass for Bucsayev. He couldn't get a shot away, but Kovаленко manages to keep it in. Plavsic starts out of his own zone. 4:45 gone by in the second period. 3-2, the Soviets lead.
That was a 4-on-2. The Soviets dropping the puck back and no Soviet forward to pick it up after Mandeville kind of guessed that they wouldn't make the play. You have to be making sure 100 out of 100 that you get back there.
Good hit by Pellerin. That results in a turnover. But the Canadian team is unable to pick up that loose puck. Now back at the line. Holler with a long shot. That's deflected up over the glass and out of play.
Good forechecking. They've been playing the body. Canada's forwards have really got the defensemen looking up. They're not making as fancy plays as you might expect. They've been turning it over, and the defense for Canada has been able to move in on the blue line and get some shots.
Scott Pellerin, who came up with that big hit in the Soviet zone, a native of Shediac, New Brunswick, who plays for the Maine Black Bears, and he'll be joining his university team immediately after this tournament in Anchorage, Alaska, where they are playing a collegiate tournament. So he has a lot of traveling ahead of him over the next few days.
They've been matching up Lindros line against the Bure, Bucsayev, and Kovаленко line. It's been a good matchup for Canada.
Here's a turnover. Canada to the attack, led by Barnes. Barnes took a shot after losing the puck initially. He got it back again, and he hit the side of the net. Needham at the point tried to keep it in, but both Barnes and Pellerin were trapped offside.
Might have been the check that Scott Pellerin put into the Soviet defenseman. He's getting attention right on the bench there, and you'll see seems to be his arm or something down low.
Well, Pellerin delivered that big hit just in front of the Soviet goal, and obviously is feeling the effects of that contact. Tертышный back in his own zone, plays it around the boards to Holler, ahead to Barnes. He's out there with Needham and Draper. Barnes attempted to hit Draper with that pass, but it hit a broken stick that is laying in the neutral zone. Now the Soviets steal. Oksyta was going for the net as Rankin Turco brings back some fond memories for Canadians who were here at the '85 World Junior Championships. It was there that Canada blanked the Soviet Union by a score of 5-0. And one of the big plays in that game was a tremendous body check by Wendell Clark, now of the Toronto Maple Leafs, on Tatarinov, the big star at the time of the Soviet junior squad.
Well, they've been really trying to get at Bure as much as they can, and if give the edge to Canada in the physical department, and not a lot of foolish penalties so far.
Jamnov keeps it in. Kudashov works to the corner. Centering attempt. The puck is loose, and the puck slides to the goal mouth as Kudashov took a one-handed swipe at it, but Stefan Facette was able to dive on it and hang on.
Dr. Rudy Gittins looking at the injured Scott Pellerin. It looks like it's a Charlie horse. They seem to be applying something to the Charlie horse area, and they, trying to really keep the pressure on it rather than have it, really start to swell. And that's Rudy Gittins supervising that.
Initially, from the picture we saw, it looked as though they were working on his arm, but that arm is just hanging loose down by his leg as they work on that tape job up in the upper portion of the leg. And as you said, it could very well be a Charlie horse. There's a delay in play with some ice problems in front of the Canadian net.
But it's a good strategy by Facette against a team like the Soviets that like to move it around, get stoppages of play, work on your face-offs. We saw yesterday he knocked the net off 3 times. We don't say it's intentional, but it's pretty easy to back into it. So on key, there's a lot of strategy that's different in this type of hockey than we see in North America, especially with the goaltender being able to stop play if your team's in difficulty.
Well, we think that the nets come loose far too easily in the National Hockey League with magnets. Here they have nothing anchoring the net, just a hole in the ice. And of course it is very easy for that net to be jarred loose. There was one occasion yesterday in the game against Finland where I think Facette may have been guilty of moving back himself into that post and nudging it loose, resulting in a stoppage in play.
Especially if it's on the side that the goaltender is playing, like he was playing on the shooter to come down, and there was, I think, a finish forward, went right into the net. He backed off with the Canadian defenseman, but Scott Pellerin's going to give it a good try here after getting the treatment, and certainly we hope that he's okay. I think he's going to give it a good shot because certainly, when you look at the standpoint, he's been one of the more aggressive, and trainer Jerry Bellows administered that tape job under the supervision of team Dr. Rudy Gittins. So when you want to play 4 lines, you don't want to have a forward, you have to double up. That's often difficult in a tournament like this.
Chris Draper preparing to
He probably has as many options as any Canadian forward because he's going to high school in Calgary with the Olympic Canadian National Program. He could go next year to U.S. college. He could go major, junior. So he's got all his options open, as well as already been drafted by Winnipeg.
3 of the players on this Canadian junior team are Winnipeg Jet draft choices. Chris Draper, as Scotty mentioned, and the other 2, Dan Tертышный and Stu Barnes. Stu Barnes chosen 4th overall. Quick shot by Martinuk is fired wide as he took the pass from Kudashov. Zubov gives it to Martinuk. Martinuk shoots it in. Facette leaves it there for Jason Herter. He's unable to get it out of the zone. Zubov from the point is checked by Craig, and the puck comes out to center ice. But Jhamnov comes in across the line, tees it up and fires it just wide. He was allowed to move into that center ice area, and he let a good shot go from just inside the blue line. Whistle on the play. Too many men on the ice, I think, against Canada.
Well, Rice was beside the bench. There was 5 other skaters. I don't know if we have a call. The referee went to the penalty box as the linesman, Fowler, I think, that made the call, but I'm not sure if it was a penalty or not.
I think it was the linesman who made the call. There were 6 players on the ice for Canada. 6 skaters in addition to the goaltender, Stefan Facette, and Rice is going off. So Canada takes a penalty at 7:18 of this second period, trailing by a score of 3-2. Too many men on the ice, the call against Canada.
Rice just about got off without the linesman really spotting him just as he got near the bench, the linesman on that back line. And we saw earlier where Brisbane, the big factor, the adjustment for the goalie is there with the wide rink, but your defenseman, Don, if they play too far apart, you get the plays up the middle. You got to give a little bit on the outside, which Canada has adjusted to in this big ice surface.
Barnes ties up his man on the face-off, but Kozlov gets the puck and works to the corner. Kozlov looking out front for Oksuta, who is in front of the net. But that pass slid past him and goes all the way back into Soviet territory. Karpovcef behind his own goal, being watched there by Barnes. Leaves it for Kozlov. Kozlov checked by Barnes. Barnes forces the turnover. And Norris flips it down into the Soviet zone. Dwayne Norris forcing the play back to the Soviet goal. Now Barnes works in. He falls. Norris gets involved in the play, but the pass comes up to Kozlov. Kozlov with Oksyta going for the net. Decides to play it back to the point. Tертышный back to Kozlov to Oksyta. Back to Tертышный. Cross ice to Karpovcев. He fans on the shot. In front. As Facette was down, they faked the shot and slid it in front. And that puck just slid in front of Stefan Facette. And the Canadian team was able to clear it. Here's a turnover. Draper comes up with the puck. Draper works into the slot area. There's a penalty coming up against the Soviets as Kozlov will be going off, I'm sure, as Draper, trying to make a move and cut for the net, was upset in the slot area.
Stick checking by the Soviets. Good play by Draper. Killing time on the penalty. Finally drew the Soviet defenseman for really pulling him down. And when you look at the way the Soviets, I think it looks like Namestnikov is getting the penalty. And there's Draper all over the puck and held on to it for about 20 seconds. Had the Soviets turning around, a big play to nullify most of the remaining time on the Soviet power play.
Canadians doing a good job in their penalty killing, as first the combination of Norris and Barnes were forcing the play back in the Soviet zone. Then Draper came out with Craig, and Draper draws the penalty. Craig works to the corner. 33 seconds remaining in the penalty to Rice. That penalty called against Team Canada for having too many men on the ice. And then Canada will have a power play for about 1 minute and 10 seconds. Bucaev crossing the line with Buре, leaves it there for Bury. There's the shot, the save by Facette. 9:03, the time gone by in the second period. The Soviets leading Canada 3-2.
The drop pass and Bure got a lot on it. Facette was going one-on-one. This is a favorite. They try to crisscross. Both Canadian defensemen kind of back up, but Facette's got pretty good angle on Bure, who puts the shot on him. And Soviets on this power play earlier till they took the penalty, they were trying to work the puck back to the point, but they're so quick with that play from behind the net that resulted in the goal by Oksyta. So you have to really collapse down, although now it's 4-on-4. Lots of ice, just 14 seconds left. Canada on the power play.
And both Canadian goals have come on the power play. Bure circling in the corner. He plays for Central Red Army and has been on that Soviet national team. He takes the puck back into the neutral zone. Now it's fed ahead to Bucaev. Canada now with the man advantage for 1 minute and 15 seconds. Puck stolen by the Soviets. Pass to Yushkevich. All he can do is dump it in back of the Canadian net. Canada having trouble setting anything up with this man advantage, as the Soviets have been forcing the play and getting those turnovers as they bang it again into Canadian territory.
Bure, pretty heady player, Don. He had the puck and he was also looking up at the clock to see how long left in the Canadian penalty.
Waltz racing after it. He comes up with it in the corner for Canada. Now he leaves it for Chizowski. Back to Chizowski as Chizowski moves it to Brisbaugh, to Plavsic. For Chizowski, there's the shot through traffic, and the goaltender, Tkachenko, didn't see it, but it hit him and bounced wide of the net.
Well, Dave Chizowski, we saw the scoring touch that he has in this tournament and a pretty good scoring chance from the angle.
15 seconds remaining in the power play. Chizowski scores! Dave Chizowski got in across the blue line and let that screenshot go low along the ice, and he beat Tkachenko to tie it at 3.
Third power play goal for Canada, and that's something that North American people can fool the goaltender Tkachenko. He thought, you never think that the North Americans are going to, shoot from there, but Chizowski has a quick shot, but what happened, Tkachenko thinking that he's going to come in the zone and set up, but Chizowski, he saw the opening and he just takes this shot here, Chizowski. Look at this. And the goaltender not ready for it. He's down guessing, And Tkachenko, a pretty solid goaltender, and he may not see shots like that as often as he would, you know, in his own league.
So it's a third power play goal for Canada. As Team Canada has fought back from a 3-0 deficit, it's now tied at 3.
Jowski scored in every game for Canada, so he's making a bid to stay with the Islanders. Good tournament here would do it for him.
Dan Tертышный draws the assist on the play. Puck forced back into the Soviet zone. Zubov moves it ahead. Martinek drops it back for Kudashov. His shot blocked by Haller. Behind the Canadian goal, Tертышный moves it up on the left side to Manderville. Manderville, rink-wide pass for Rice. He couldn't pick it up. It slides to the Soviet goal, and Tkachenko hangs on for a face-off. We have played 11-2 of the second period. Face-off to the left of Tkachenko. Barnes is out there with Needham and Pellerin. From the face-off, the shot is fired wide of the net. Pellerin comes up with the puck in the corner. Pellerin trying to get it out front, leaves it there for Barnes. Barnes was looking for Needham, but it went off a stick. Needham manages to keep it in. Now the Soviets clear. Oksyta for Kozlov. Kozlov with a shot up high on Facette. Jason Herter starts back. Pellerin in the neutral zone, tried to fire it in. It hit a player. Now Barnes on the turnover, starts back. Barnes lets the shot go. Tkachenko kicks that one to the corner. Centering attempt, and Tkachenko grabs it and holds it for a face-off. Brisbaugh was back in the point. He was ready to move in, looking for that centering attempt, but the puck never got to him. Czechoslovakia and the Soviet Union tied for first place, and the last report we had from Turku, the Czechoslovakia was leading Sweden 5-2. So temporarily, it would appear they have moved into first place. Canada with a record of 3-1. Sweden, if they lost that game, would be 3-1-1. Earlier today, Finland won its second game 8-2 over Norway. .11:51 gone by in the second. The score tied at 3. Chizowski steals it. Back of the net for Ricci. Ricci trying to get it out front. It goes to the other corner. Chizowski. He leaves it there. Norris after it. He's taken in against the boards. It comes loose for Ricci. Ricci trying to slide it out front, and there was nobody there as it was cleared by Godiyuk. Chizowski manages to keep it in, trying to poke it back of the net for Ricci. It deflects high.
They've got that forechecking game going for them, Canada. They're not laying back with the score tied 3.
Here comes Buret, drop pass, Kovlenko fans, and back comes Canada. Here's a 4-on-2. Norris in across the line. He drops it back. Centering attempt, they score! Chizowski, his second of the game.
Quick release, a 4-on-2, and Chizowski spots the hole with the goaltender on the short side, puts it right up high, so Chizowski coming up with his 7th goal of the tournament. Canada goes ahead for the first time, Don, and boy, they've caught this Soviet team really asleep at the switch here. The goaltender doesn't get over far enough, and he puts it right over his shoulder. So Chizowski selected 2 overall last year by the Islanders, and we'll see the play here. Norris drops it back, and I think you'll see the defenseman move it across, and a good shot by Chizowski. A real good pass though by Plavsic as he moved up. 4-on-2 for Canada, puts him ahead.
Plavsic took the drop pass from Norris and got it across to Chizowski, and with that quick release, he has put Canada ahead for the first time in the game. But it was that turnover at the blue line that created a 4-on-2 for Canada, and they were able to capitalize. Now the Soviets, led by Kudashov, come out. Rink-wide pass for Martinek. His shot is deflected wide. Kudashov centers it. There's nobody there. Banged off the boards and out. Racing after it is Walls. Walls in across the line, playing it back for Craig, and his shot deflected to the corner by Tkachenko. Now the Soviets move to the attack. Jamnov drops it for Martinuk. Martinuk moving into the slot. Can't get a shot away as he is tied up. Good defensive work by Craig, who got back into the play.
All 5 Canadians working down deep. Soviets loafing, coming back. Let a couple of forwards stay in the neutral zone.
Draper works his way out, then takes a hit in the center ice area. Martinuk takes a big hit from Lindros. The pass came in across the line, but Jamnov was offside.
Well, those 2 goals by Chizowski to put Canada ahead have really got the intensity of the Canadian team up much past the Soviets. And, you know, they were a little cautious in that first period, but coming back with the 2 quick goals, and we'll see a good check here. That's Eric Lindros. Boy, what a check he puts onto the Soviet forward, number 19, Martinyuk. Just hit him right at the blue line, caused the offside.
4-3, Canada leads. We have played 13:42 of this second period. Canada trailed 3-0 in the first period. They came back with 2 power play goals in the opening period. Late in the period, they got the tying goal in the power play, the first by David Chizowski, and then Chizowski's second has put them ahead by the 4-3 score. This will be an icing call if Yushkevich can get to it first, and he does.
Sharon has really stressed the fact, don't be outnumbered in your own zone, be at least even, and he's got his forwards coming right back in deep. It's a tremendously big end zone, so they've given up a bit on the point, but in that slot area where the Soviets like to make the quick one-time passes and take the shot, they've already scored 1 goal of that nature. He's really changed his game plan around, and he's got the forwards very active in their own end, and it's been effective.
Guy Charon, 40 years of age. He has been with the Olympic program since 1985, and he will be rejoining Dave King following this tournament. Barnes ties up Gordiuk back of the net. Gets the puck out into the center ice area for Brisbaugh. Brisbaugh tried to shovel it in front. Pellerin was driving for the net. Pellerin battling with Yushkevich in the corner. Pellerin manages to come up with it. Now gets some help from Needham along the boards. 2 Soviet players in there as well. Barnes knocks it loose. Tried a bit of a fancy move to get that puck free and move into the slot area. Here's Needham with a shot as the Canadian team forced a turnover in the Soviet zone.
They're pushing the Soviets off the puck. That's something that's very unusual, and the Canadians are really getting away with it. And there's a penalty, unfortunately, Don, but they've kept their discipline.
Penalty coming up against Team Canada at 15:06 of the second period. Canada leading by 1. Barnes in the penalty box. That penalty comes 15:06 into the second period. A hooking call against the center who plays with the Tri-City Americans. The team, we understand, is having a few difficulties back in the Western League. The players not happy with the situation back there. Steve Rice has the ice bag on his right wrist. He has played a very physical game throughout the tournament for Canada. Kovaalenko in the corner. Buре in front of the net, battling there with Haller. And a whistle goes, and I think both of them will be going off.
It's called an interference penalty. I think it's on it looks like it might be on Buczayev for the Soviets to nullify this power play as they try to pick, and the Soviets surprised by referee Martin, but he made the call only 14 seconds into the Soviet power play.
Initially, I thought it might have been for the battle that was taking place in front of the net, just out of the screen.
Tертышный, and I think you'll see the interference call. I didn't see what he did. It happened actually before this. It was on Tертышный, the Canadian player that was pulled interfered with, but certainly Soviets, another foolish penalty. They've taken 3 in this game, and it's cost them dearly.
Buре, number 12, and Haller were having quite a battle in front of the net as well. But it's Buczayev who goes off for interference, so that will nullify the man advantage. Haller falls on top of the puck. Now it's picked up by Norris, rink wide for Tертышный. Tертышный flips it towards the net. Tkachenko slides out to grab it and hold it for a face-off.
Kovlenko, he left Norris go. It was a cute play. It nearly got through as Tертышный moved up. Norris was headed down the wrong wing, and Kovlenko let his check go. The Soviets, what Canada's done in this period, Don, is they played a lot of it in the Soviets' end. If there's ever any weakness in Soviet teams, it's on the defensive aspect, not on the offense. So they've been able to play in their end more than than usual.
Dwayne Norris, the first player from Newfoundland to be a member of a national team. He's from St. John's, and he is filing reports to the newspaper back in St. John's, the Evening Telegram.
Well, he's draftable this year. Had a very good year as a freshman with Michigan State, 40 points last season. So, Norris hoping to be selected in the 1990 NHL draft. A lot of scouts, this is the place to play well.
1:30 remains in the penalty to Barnes, and then Canada will have a power play for 13 seconds. Canada has cashed in with the man advantage. 3 power play goals. Haller with a shot. That's deflected up over the glass, out of play.
Ricci's saying, and he's right, that the Soviet player deflected it over, and he's a real sharp player. As soon as that puck went into the crowd, he went right after. I mean, he's a very observant type of player, saying, we didn't knock it, and that extra 10 feet inside the zone could result in a good play. He'll have to get the draw, of course.
Many are anticipating that Ricci will be the #1 draft choice this year at the annual amateur draft that will take place this year for the first time in Vancouver. Haller forced back into his own zone for Chizowski. He has scored twice. He gets it across to Tертышный. Tертышный in across the line for Ricci. Ricci was tied up, couldn't get a shot away. Ricci back to the point to Haller. Over to Ricci. Ricci saw that the man in front was covered. Chizowski comes over to help out. He bodies the Soviet player, but they come out the other side. Kudashov leaves it there for Jhamnov. Jhamnov centering it, nobody in position. Comes back to the line. Karpovcев pokes it into the corner. Now Tертышный gets it over to Kudashov. Kudashov for Jhamnov. Jhamnov with a shot. Facet makes the save. He did the splits to knock that one down as he was partially screened. Puck loose directly in front of the Soviet bench. Tертышный forced back into his own zone. Feathers it ahead to Oksyuta. Oksyuta for Kozlov, breaking in. Leaves it there for Oksyuta, and Oksyuta was checked by Malgunas, and back comes Canada, 2-on-2. A pass for Walls, going in, he scores! Wes Walls making it 5-3.
The defenseman for the Soviets, it looked like he might have been injured in the neutral zone. He decided to then go back at the play, but Wesley Walls, who's really skated well in this tournament, rewarded. But you see the scoring touch of Walls playing with the Lethbridge Juniors. He goes in one-on-one on the goaltender after taking the pass, and he's able to slide it right in the corner. He makes a real good shot here. The opening is there. The goalie goes down and puts it under him to put Canada ahead. A tremendous second period, and you'll see the little flip pass as it comes across, and Walls is able to put it on the pass from Draper, slides it across. It was a 2-on-2. Walls making it possible, but speed on the outside.
Native of Calgary, the #3 draft choice of the Boston Bruins, Wes Walls from Chris Draper, makes it a 5-3 Canadian lead. In case you joined our telecast late on this New Year's Day, it was 3-0 for the Soviets in the first period. 5 consecutive goals by Team Canada. They're now on the power play. Barnes out of the box. Barnes going in. Shoots the puck loose directly in front of the net as Tkachenko just got a piece of it.
Could have broken this game wide open, and fortunately the Soviets were there to clear that puck.
Kozlov in across the line. Oksyuta going for the net. Kozlov behind his back trying to get it to Oksyuta. He misses him with the pass, and the Canadian player Draper is able to bang it down the ice.
Canada's taken the offense away from the Soviets, and in this second period.
Gordiuk with a shot on the drop pass from Kozlov, and Canada with an opening, firing it down the ice. Pellerin was racing after it, forcing the goaltender to come out and make the play. Now it's Gordiuk in across the line. He runs into a check, the puck loose in the Canadian zone. Chizowski is back for Canada. He has scored twice. Ahead to Needham. Needham looking over on the left side. Got it to Needham, returning the pass, and his shot is blocked as a feed came across from Pellerin, and Needham got the return pass and went right in.
Well, Needham was a 2-on-1, and the defenseman went for Needham. He got the shot away, and Chizowski was all alone. As you see, that's the shot. That's the initial shot. That's about 15 seconds ago. That was a good scoring chance, but this one here, you'll see the good shot. And Barnes looking, he sees the opening, and finally Wes Walls just about reaches it before the Soviet defenseman clears it out of the way. The Soviets were down 3-1 against the United States, came back, but that was much earlier in the second period.
Zubov, long lead pass, looking for Buczayev. The icing is waved off as Facette has to play it. And then the puck is flipped over the glass, over the boards actually, and out of play.
Much more confident.
12:39, Chizowski's second of the game put Canada ahead, and then Wes Walls at 17 minutes made it a 5-3 Canadian lead. Kovalenkko trying to break in as he took that lead pass. Now Buре digs it out from the corner to Buczayev, and the shot is blocked by Tертышный.
Pretty good scoring chance early. They don't want to strike early, and the Soviets look like they're going to try to come with a little more attack.
Lindra's back of the net, trying to get it out front. Lindra's pushed off the puck. It goes to the other side. Brisbaugh fires a shot wide. Manderville keeps it in. Lindra steps into the Soviet player. Goddynuck back of the net. He has delivered some solid body checks. Here's a lead pass for Buре. Bure on the backhand, and Facette makes the save.
Right up the middle, Bure beat Plavsic and Brisebois, and that's something Canada has to be careful. Their defense have to play a little closer together on plays like from Bure.
Going back after it is Plavsic. Plavsic circling in his own zone, firing it up on the right side. Pellerin took that pass, had a little difficulty controlling it, and the Soviets come back. Oksyta drops it for Kozlov. Kozlov is checked. Barnes knocks it out into the center ice area.
Those drop passes are very much in evidence. That's the key coming back.
It's whistled down on the offside at the Canadian blue line. Mike Ricci suffered a shoulder injury in a pre-tournament game against Czechoslovakia. He did not play the first couple of games, saw some action in the contest against Norway. They wanted to ease him back into his game, and he played against Finland and is playing against the Soviet Union, but obviously is still not 100%.
Set up a big goal by Chizowski in that Finnish game, and a day rest tomorrow and then 2 straight games, so things should get better for Mike Ricci, showing a lot of courage playing in this tournament with that sore shoulder.
Tертышный sliding it down into the Soviet zone. Tертышный plays it up along the boards, but not out. Canada with that forechecking, trying to force the play in Soviet territory. Barnes comes back to steal it away from Oksyta. Now it's loose and fired in by Malgunas as the Canadian team makes a complete change. Kozlov to Oksyta. He leaves it there for Kozlov. Kozlov trying to go around Plavsic, out front for Oksyta. A quick shot, and that hit the side of the net. Ricci moves it up for Norris. Norris ahead to Chizowski. Chizowski with the shot. That goes off a stick to the corner. Chizowski has scored twice in this game. He had a 2-goal game against Poland as well. Plavsic circling back behind his own net. Gets away from Oksyta. Oksyta's been out there for a long shift.
Plavsic has to play right and left defenseman. He has replaced Herter playing with Haller, so certainly from the standpoint of Plavsic, he'll have to swing from left to right.
Now Gunas knocks it off the boards to Chizowski. He dodges a check. Chizowski with that quick shot. It's gloved and held by Tkachenko. We played 3 minutes of the third period. Canada leads 5-3. Robert Chernikov, the coach of the Soviet team, and as we pointed out earlier, Soviet coaches stand in front of their players rather than behind them. You never ever thought about standing in front of them, did you, Scotty?
No, I think when you look at it, though, you can see a lot better. Canadian teams, of course, have the headset and they have the eye in the sky.
Puck stolen. Walsh tried to get it across ice to Mike Craig, but it was broken up by Kovalenkko. He pokes it down into the Canadian zone. Malgunas battling for it with Kovalenkko. Bure is in there as well. So is Draper. Bure gets it free to Buczaev. He deflected it wide of the goal. The battle continues along the boards in the Canadian zone. Walls trying to kick it loose to a teammate. He got it to Draper, but Draper had it taken away by Bure. Bure circling. Sliding it in front, and Buczaev was checked and knocked into the Canadian goaltender Facette, and the net is knocked loose as well.
Walls made a good play earlier by going in the slot area, giving up the point, because that's where the Soviets were trying to circle, make the little play into the middle, and they decoy the defenseman back. But on a big ice surface like you have there with the width, you have to get in that slot area and bring the forward back in. That shot in the slot area, we'll see the stretch, the size of Facette. He's able to cover the entire net with both legs.
Face off to the right of Facette. 3:57 into the third. Canada leading by a score of 5-3. Plavsic fires it down the ice. Tертышный is back for the Soviets. His rink-wide pass for Kaminsky. Kaminsky trying to work around Plavsic. Plavsic knocks him off the puck. Lindros pokes it ahead to Manderville. Manderville brings it out into the center ice area, looking for Lindros. Lindros couldn't pick it up. Rice does. Rice with a shot that is fired wide. Manderville keeps it in. Tертышный in the corner. Takes a partial hit there from Rice as Rice went flying after the Soviet defenseman. The puck was deflected to the goal and held for a face-off. Czechoslovakia in another game tonight defeated Sweden 7-2, the fifth straight win for the Czechs. And the United States in a real squeaker, getting past Poland 3-2, the first win of the tournament for the United States. For Poland, a fifth consecutive loss.
Well, they had gone in, Poland 1 goal for and 48 against. The Czechs keep rolling. We don't have the goal scorers. Jezowski's 2 goals put him at 7 here tonight. The tournament leader going into tonight's game was Reichel, a draft choice of Calgary. He had 9 in 4 games for Czechoslovakia.
Loose puck out front. Needham was turned around, couldn't get a shot away as Barnes fed it out. Yushkevich in his own zone, having problems handling it. Moves it along the boards. Namestnikov fired it too far for Kudashov. And now Haller looking for that lead pass for Barnes. It was deflected into the Soviet zone. It's left along the boards. Barnes comes up with it. He anticipated the play well. However, he couldn't get it back to the point. And the Soviets, Potaychuk goes back to the net, tied up there by Haller. Manages to get it loose to Kudashov into the slot area. And Facette goes down as Jamnov tried to move in and slip it past him. And as the puck is dumped down the ice, it's an icing call against Team Canada. Gate, where they won the other gold medal. Tournament started in 87, ended in 88. Here comes Norris with a shot deflected up into the crowd.
They refer to these tournaments as the 90 tournament because it will finish in 1990 as we are right now. But from Canada's standpoint, they were ahead in that abandonment of that tournament when the Soviets and the Canadian team were disqualified, and that was a medal that was tough to lose for Canada.
And that was the year that Finland, because of the disqualification of Canada and the Soviet Union, was awarded the gold medal. Back to the point, Malgunas takes the shot. A whistle on the play. They're going to perform that face-off again as someone had moved prematurely.
Soviets have had 2 good chances, though. Bure in alone, Facette beat him, and Jamnov took too much time, and Facette had gone down, but his long pads were able to scramble the puck and cause the stoppage.
Bure to Kovalenkko. Kovalenkko has to wait for Bure to get back onside. Buре ahead to Kovalenkko. Kovalenkko stopped at the line. Chizowski got back very quickly to break up the play. Buре tries again. Bure knocked down. He looks to the referee, Derek Martin of the United States, for a whistle, but the arm was not raised. Now, he'll try again. Bure going for the net, a backhand shot, the rebound. Kovalenkko took 2 swipes at it, and Fazette covered that short side.
We saw the speed of Bure as he really tore around the Canadian defenseman, and certainly from the Soviet standpoint, that's one player they hoped would get going, but Malgunas had trouble as Bure went right around the outside, and a pretty good scoring chance. You'll see there, he took the first shot. There's a double rebound here. The pad is stacked, and Fazette really likes to go back in. His style of play is good for European-style hockey because they like to make a lot of plays in the goal mouth.
5-3, Canada leads the Soviet Union. 6:40 into the third period. It was 3-0 in the first period for the Soviets. Canada got 2 late first period goals on the power play and then 3 consecutive goals in the second. Kozlov drops it back to the point. Karpovcev gives it to Kozlov. To Oksyta. Back to Kozlov. Kozlov in the slot area, lets the shot go. It was deflected. Walls steered it to the corner. Kozlov gets it again for Oksyta, trying to move out front. Soviets applying pressure. Here's an opportunity as the shot is taken, and Set comes up with the save as it came out to Martinuk on the good pressure by the Soviet Union.
Coach Guy Charron has his forwards really trying to cave in deep, and there's some openings on the point, but the Soviets don't go very much to the point. They try those little bang-bang plays, and look, you've got 4 Canadian players in an area of about 15 feet in front of the net. They've really made it tough to get in the slot area. That was an angle shot that Fazette was able to handle.
Face-off to the right of Fazette.
Coverage is good, we got no problem. They did a good job, defense always did a good job.
Lindros tied up his man on that face-off. The puck comes loose. Kudashov fired it wide. Potaychuk tried to go for the net. It was taken away from him by Plavsic. Plavsic gives it to Lindros. Lindros bowls over the Soviet defender Yushkevich, but the puck is deflected over the boards and out of play, resulting in another stoppage in play. Soviets led by 3, and I'm sure they're a little stunned by what has happened here at the Helsinki Arena, as Canada has scored 5 consecutive goals. Brisbaugh racing after the puck in his own zone, trying to move it up along the boards. It will slide all the way back into the Soviet zone and result in an icing call against Canada.
Well, they got the 3 goals in 4:38 of the first period. Canada came back with the 2 power play goals in 49 seconds, so there's been a lot of scoring in a hurry, but we see this third period here. Canada not maybe doing as much forechecking as they did in the second period, but I've noticed the way Adrian Plavsic has really lugged the puck out of the end zone. They've been able to take advantage of not very good forechecking by the Soviets. So the 5-man defense in the first 7-8 minutes has really held up for Canada.
Barnes faces Jhamnov in the circle. Puck is knocked down the ice. Racing after it is Pellerin. It comes loose and is fired over top of the net by Needham. Needham has it in the corner. Back to the point to Haller. He lets it go right on the rebound. They score! Pellerin is rewarded in the slot area as he pounced on that big rebound and fires it past Tkachenko.
You always have the feeling, Don, that the next goal is a big one when you have a 2-goal lead. Canada coming up with Kevin Haller took the shot from the blue line. The goaltender gave a big rebound out and lost his balance, and Scott Pellerin was able to get it high enough. He was right in the slot area. You'll see it come back to Haller. There's the play right there. I think it was Needham that threw it across, and here's the open net play as the goalie tries to slide across, but Haller's shot, the rebound comes out. Pellerin gets enough on it to put it up, and Canada goes ahead 6-3.
Haller and Tертышный are awarded assists on the goal by Scott Pellerin. And Scott Pellerin, you may recall, earlier in the game, took that hit. It looked as though he had a Charlie horse problem, had it retaped, and continued to play and has played well.
I thought Needham threw it back to Haller. He took the shot. They give the assist to Tертышный, the defense partner of Haller, but I don't think there'll be any changes on that one. I'm sure Needham's the one that put it back to the point, though.
They have corrected a couple of the scoring plays in the hockey game so far. Needham getting that goal that initially was credited to Brisbois, the second power play goal, and they also changed one of the Soviet goals. We had called it as Buczayev scoring. They had announced as Gordiuk first. Here's Buре moving in, and that puck winds up underneath goaltender Stefan Facet, and Facet will have Bure talking to himself tonight because that's about the fourth good scoring opportunity the speedy Soviet has had.
What happened is Plavsic got confused with Malgunas, and Bury was in alone as he took the cross-ice pass, and Plavsic playing on the right side. You'll see both defensemen on the same side, and a pretty good scoring chance for Bure, all in all alone. Dwayne Norris trying to get back, but Plavsic got mixed up playing on the left side.
And I think it was Norris who dove at Bure, trying to knock that puck away from him, that went crashing into the end boards and is hurt.
Might have prevented Bure, though, from going in and trying to deke Facet. Facet has played his angles very well. He doesn't really come out and force the player to try to go around him, so it was Norris that took the dive.
Scotty, I hearken back to the month of September when I was in the Soviet Union along with Harry Neal and Ron McLean for the friendship tour by the Calgary Flames and the Washington Capitals. We had an opportunity to talk with Anatoly Tarasov, the father of Soviet hockey. He said in comparing Soviet hockey and Canadian hockey, he always felt that the Soviets were equal in skills. They could have better conditioned teams than Canada, better team play, but when it came to emotion, motivation, heart, desire, his reply was niet, niet, niet.
Well, down 3-0, and we saw the desire as those two quick goals changed this game around, but we still have, Don, about a little over 10 minutes left in this game.
Puck fired wide by Tертышный. Canada moves it out to center ice, and the Soviets trying to force the play and create some opportunities in the offensive zone are getting caught defensively in this third period. Craig sliding it out front. He tried to slip it across to Draper, but Draper was tied up. Canada has had a couple of 2-on-1s, 3-on-2 breaks in this third period.
Well, this line of Walls, Draper, and Craig have put a little bit of speed into the Canadian attack, and that's one thing Canada has not sat back tonight. If you give an edge one way or the other, I'd say Canada's skating has been better than the Soviets thus far.
I'll harken back to another comment that Tarasov made as well. We asked him who the best NHL coach ever was. He said, Scotty Bowman.
Well, he's probably a friend of mine if he said that, but I remember when he came in the mid-70s to Montreal and watching that big red machine. We tried to get a few drills put in, but it's a different game, Don, completely with the big ice surface, especially the width.
Potaychuk working against Haller. Haller hammers him into the boards, but Potaychuk recovers. He's knocked down again, and a third time by Haller. Back to the point. Ivanoff took a shot. It was blocked. Goes loose to Potaychuk. Potaychuk centering it. Zhamnov couldn't get a stick on it, and it's brought out by Manderville. Manderville taken in against the boards by Namestnikov. Ivanoff plays it up along the boards, races after it himself. He's back on the blue line now after playing a forward position much of the game. Zhamnov goes into the corner. Zhamnov back to the point. Ivanoff has his shot blocked with a shoulder problem. Herder with that knee. Pellerin with a Charlie horse. Stephen Rice with a wrist problem. Norris with a hip problem. And of course that groin problem that has plagued goaltender Stefan Facet since training camp.
And you don't go to your bench to put in other players. We may add that this is what you have going for you, so you have to really double up the work for the other players.
The battle for that puck along the boards. Plavsic Loses it in the corner to Bure. Bure slides it back to the point. There's a long shot just wide by Gordiak. Zubov at the other point position. In behind the net. The centering attempt is blocked by Plavsic. Buczaev gets it free to Bure. Trying to fire it out that short side to Buczaev. Blocked by Plavsic. The Soviets try again. Kovalenkov working to the corner, has it knocked away by Brisbaugh, and Brisbaugh flips it out into the center ice area. We've played 11:54 of this third period. Canada in front 6-3. Lead pass for Bure, a long shot steered to the corner by Facette. Tертышный kicks it up along the boards. Trying to tie up Oksyta as the Soviet team really juggles its lines in this third period, trying to get back in the hockey game. This is an icing call against Canada. 12:17 has been played in the third. Canada leads 6-3. Behind 3-0, but they have taken control of the game since then.
Draper in for Ricci for this face-off, and he's got a pretty good draw going. He'll be replaced by Ricci.
Now Gunas bangs it off the boards and down the ice. Chizowski gets to it. Chizowski controls back to the point. That pass.
One period, it would be pretty tough, though, to play a full game with only 5 defensemen.
I think every player on this Canadian team lineup is accustomed to playing a lot with his junior team or with his collegiate team.
That's the big adjustment for the type of player that you draw for this club, and that's why some of the selections were made.
A penalty coming up against Canada in the offensive zone. Oksyta works into Canadian territory. There's the shot. Facette has it underneath his pad. But it will be a power play for the Soviets. 13:01 into this third period, as the penalty was incurred in the offensive zone behind the play. Mike Craig goes off.
Craig is drawing the penalty. It was called immediately as the Soviets worked their way up the ice. It was a pretty good scoring chance, and Facette has not been as busy as we kind of expected, but he's been able to have good position, and those pads are very big for Facette. He's a big goaltender, and that's helped a lot.
Mike Craig, a number 2 draft choice of Minnesota, playing his junior hockey with the Oshawa Generals, and on the 14th of January he will have as his teammate Eric Lindros. The penalty call behind the play. The Soviets with the man advantage. Ivanoff to Potaychuk. Potaychuk tries to go cross ice. Kozlov couldn't get a shot away. The puck loose in the Canadian zone. It's brought to the line and out.
Good quick stick by Wesley Walls. Made 2 good plays to prevent the Soviets from getting a good scoring chance.
Jhamnov works into the Canadian zone. Plays it to the other corner to Potaychuk. He falls, and Haller picks an opening and drives it the length of the ice.
Well, this is your hockey game, Don. The Canada has about 1.5 minutes left on this penalty, and if they can survive this, there'll only be 5 minutes left in the game.
Scott Pellerin is out there now, replacing Draper. He's killing the penalty with Stu Barnes. Barnes has taken Walls off. Buczaev drops it for Bure. Bure, quarterback of this power play. Back to the line. Gordiuk with a shot. Knocked down in front, then steered wide, and Stefan Facette, as he is permitted to do in international hockey, comes diving out of the net to force a stoppage in play and give his penalty killers a rest. Our next telecast will be on Thursday, January 4th. It will originate in Slovakia. 46 seconds remaining in the penalty. Shot goes wide of the net. Buczaev trying to get it loose. He succeeds. Buczaev to Kovalenkov. Kovalenkov tried to jam it. It was kicked out, and back comes Pellerin. Barnes trying to catch up with the play. Barnes goes for the net. The pass doesn't get through. Bure on the right side to Kovalenkov. Kovalenkov working around. Haller takes the shot, the rebound. They score. Bure on the rebound.
You're right, as he got around Haller, the Soviet took the shot. Facette made the save, and Bure in. It didn't look like there was much room for Bure. Only 15 seconds left on the penalty, and he gets it. There's the save by Facette. as Bure just comes from nowhere and gets it up high, and I don't know if he put it right in or just shoveled it in, but nevertheless 6-4. You'll see the good play coming around here as Haller can't handle the Soviet Kovlenko. He takes the shot, Bure puts in the rebound.
Kozlov back into his own zone. Power play goal for the Soviets. 5 minutes in the third period. 6-4. Canada leading the Soviet Union. The Soviets to the attack again. Kaminsky feeding it in on the left side for Oksyta too far. Norris along the boards trying to get it loose. Haller in his own zone finally is able to dump it down the ice. Karpovcef moves it along the boards to Oksyta. Oksyta with that quick shot, and Facette with the save. Kozlov in the slot, couldn't get a shot away. Oksyta goes to the corner after it. Oksyta tied up. The puck goes to the boards, and it's fired down the ice by Dwayne Norris.
Good scoring chance though. Plavsic got caught moving on the other side, and the Soviets like to put it back on the same side it came from, and Facette, it looked like a very ordinary shot, but nevertheless about a 15-footer slot area, made the save.
Canada 4-13 away from victory, hanging on to a 2-goal lead. 6 consecutive goals by Canada before the Soviets scored on the power play. They have scored twice with the man advantage. Canada has scored 3 times on the power play. Namestnikov chases it down in his own zone. Cross ice to Ivanoff. Lindros with another good hit along the boards on Potaychuk. Lead pass intended for Lindros, too far for him. And there's an icing call as Manderville attempted to use his speed and get there ahead of the 2 Soviets. They were able to touch it, but they both went crashing into the end boards.
Well, you don't want to sit back. Just a little under 4 minutes remaining. A couple of face-offs coming up. Lindros had got that last face-off and knocked it off, and you'll see the 2 Soviets colliding. I think it was Manderville who went in. That's what Canada's been able to do tonight, is have that first guy in really chasing the puck. They have not allowed the Soviet defensemen to really get involved with the play, and that's been a big factor in the 6-4 lead.
Now, Guy Chiron gave his team the morning off. They did not skate. They played a little soccer instead this morning just to get them loose. With the number of nagging injuries on the team, he might also give them tomorrow off.
Yeah, I was kidding you about the soccer. I said Lindros had sprained his ankle, but maybe the best soccer player I saw out there, Don, I was scouting, was the coach, Guy Chiron. I didn't even know he played soccer. But I think it's just that they want to get some physical activity. They know they've played last night. There's a lot of downtime for the players, and maybe playing back-to-back games. I was fearful that this might hurt Canada coming in against a rested Soviet team, but it's been to Canada's advantage. They've skated better tonight than last night.
Tертышный playing it around the boards for Manderville. Manderville takes a look, decides to try and come out the other way. Cuts right in front of his own net. That almost proved costly as he was upset by Bucsayev. Lindros runs into Bure, the 2 of them in a big collision back of the goal. Bucsayev looking out front. Centered it, but Lindros takes it to safety back of the goal. Plays it off the boards, but not out. Weak shot knocked down. Another shot fired wide. Soviets applying pressure, trailing by 2 late in the third period. Bucsayev leaves it there for Bure, back to the point just out of the reach of Gordiuk.
This has been the most pressure the Soviets have been able to have. Canada not being able to clear the zone, and it was a poor play by the Soviet forward that actually pulled the puck over the blue line.
An offside call against the Soviets. 17:07, the time gone by in the third period. Canada leading by a score of 6-4. Dave Chizowski has scored twice for the Canadian team.
Chiron explaining the play to Manderville. I think when he felt Manderville went in front of the net and lost the puck, just clear it over the blue line and take the pressure off.
Haller crosses the center line, then fires it into Soviet territory. Pellerin steps into the Soviet defenseman. Haller keeps it in. Haller with the shot, the save by Tkachenko. Needham comes up with it in the corner, flipping it back of the net for Barnes, out of his reach. Kozlov is forced to circle and try and come out the other way. Pellerin forces a turnover, gets it free to Barnes. Barnes back of the net, looking for someone to pass to, tried to get it to the point to Haller. It was knocked down by the Soviets. Kozlov puts on the brakes, takes the shot, goes after the rebound. They jam it at the side of the net. It's picked up by Pellerin, and he bangs it off the boards and down the ice. This will be another icing call against Canada, but there are only 2 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the game.
You don't mind face-offs in this situation when you're in a little bit of difficulty. Canada's done very well on the face-offs in this game, as well as covering the point man. And I think Sharon has had the good game plan in his own end. I've been impressed the way Canada has really taken away that slot area, and it's not very often you can keep the Soviet defensemen out of the attack, which Canada's been able to do tonight.
Face-off to the left of Facette. Draper against Jhamnov. Right up along the boards by Malgunas, but not out. Tертышный. Off the boards for Pellerin. He drives it down the ice. This will be another icing call against Canada. 18-14 into the third period. You know, one individual who will be watching with a great deal of interest back home is Dennis McDonald, now an assistant general manager with the Winnipeg Jets for a number of years, a member of this Canadian junior program with the CAHA as a director of operations.
They've been able to mold a good organization between the Canadian junior operators and the CHA to provide a very solid club in here to this year again, and I've been impressed the way the coaching staff has been able to bring this team. They're getting better each game.
Potaychuk being harassed there by Tертышный as they go to the corner. Now Malgunas comes up with it. Malgunas off Chizowski and down the ice, and this will be another icing call against Canada. No, it's waved off as Draper forced the goaltender to play the puck. Potaychuk circling at center ice to the Canadian line, knocked down by Brisbois. As the Canadians attempt to flip it into the Soviet zone, it goes over the boards and out of play. And again, we point out that the glass does not encircle the entire playing area, so as a result, you get a lot of pucks going out of play.
Good hustle by Draper prevented the stoppage of play, which would have resulted in a face-off in Canada's defensive zone. He forced the goaltender, Tkachenko, to come up and play that puck, and that's the one area you regard when you're always with a minute to go. A quick face-off play can result in a goal with a lot of time left, so that was one face-off that was well prevented.
1:11, the time remaining. Ricci knocks it down into the Soviet zone. Gordiuk moves it along the boards to Buczaev. Buczaev to Buре. He couldn't control it. Flipped back out to center ice by Canada. Chizowski is hit with a solid body check by Gordiuk as he came in across the blue line. Kovаленко along the right wing boards. Still no move by the Soviet goaltender to head for the bench. Here's Buре going for the goal. The shot and the save by Facette. 39 seconds remaining in the game. Pushing and shoving after that save. Buре has been frustrated a number of times in this game by Stefan Facette. It's something the Soviets and many European teams don't do when they trail by a goal, or in this case 2 goals, is pull their goaltender, and there's been no movement to get Tkachenko out of the net. Here's Facette with the save on Bure.
Probably looking at the percentage that it maybe works in your favor, but you're in this type of situation with 39 seconds to go. The face-off is coming out. However, as they ruled, I think the Soviets really don't know what happened, but they must have ruled that the Soviets had come in because the face-off is outside the Canadian blue line.
39 seconds remaining. As we have pointed out before, on the 3 occasions that Canada has defeated the Soviet Union in this tournament, the only 3 times that Canada has won they have also won the gold medal. So perhaps this is an omen.
Well, it's an awfully big game, and the fact that Canada will play Sweden, if they could get by that, that sets the stage. Like you mentioned, Czechoslovakia have one game remaining, and that's against the Soviet Union. So it looks like that our telecast on January the 4th is going to be for that gold medal, unless Canada really falls flat on its face against Sweden, and still 35 seconds to go in this game.
In the 1982 tournament, Canada won by a score of 7-0. The game was played in Winnipeg. In '85, when the game was played in Turku, Canada won 5-0. And in 1988 in Moscow, Canada won 3-2. From the face-off, the puck is fired wide of the net. A battle along the boards as Canada attempts to get it out, and some pushing and shoving following the whistle. And again, Guy Chiron is yelling at his players to get out of there. Stay away from any altercation. Do not take foolish penalties at this stage of the game. Just 25 seconds left.
Dick Todd rushed to Guy Chiron, call a timeout. They're allowed the one timeout. Same in North American hockey. So with just 25 seconds left, they want to set this up and make sure that the Canadian players on the ice know what they're going to do, Don, with 25 seconds left.
Wearing the headset, that's Dick Todd, the head coach of the Peterborough Petes, and he has been over to tournaments in Europe before with the Canadian junior team. In the past, when he was involved, it was the Memorial Cup Championship team that came over. And then in '82, they went to the national team program.
He was talking as early as 1973. They had a shot at a gold medal with the Peterborough Petes, and he said halfway through the game, they were down 1-0 to the Soviets. That was in Leningrad, and they lost that game 9-0. They only lost one game in that tournament, but they've called the timeout. They've tried to settle the team down, and it's been a tremendous effort for Canada to come back here tonight. And I'd say the unsung players, fellas like Draper, that's really come through for this club. And you know, he's been on the ice a lot. He's a good defensive. That's why they put him on the team. He's an excellent defensive player. They felt leading in games they need that type of player, and here we are right now.
Well, his father is here. He's very proud, and his uncle Dave Draper, who was also involved with the junior program for a number of years, will be watching. I'm sure he's very proud of the effort. Potaychuk centering it, nobody there, and Haller lugs it out with 15 seconds remaining. Fired down into the Soviet zone. Ivanoff plays it off the boards, but it's picked up in the neutral area by Canada. Dumped in by Manderville, and that will do it. That will end the hockey game. Canada with a tremendous comeback, trailing by a score of 3-0 in the first period, scoring 6 consecutive goals, and winning it by a score of 6-4.
And it was good, Don, for once to see penalties play a part positively for Canada, because the Soviet team took 2 penalties in that first period that got Canada back in the game. And that's generally been the story. We've been frustrated taking a lot of penalties, but tonight Canada showed good discipline and capitalized on foolish Soviet penalties to get back in this game.
Well, Canada got a big lift on those 2 power play goals. I think they also got another lift with Stéphane Fossette making a save late in that first period when Canada was...